In this video, I'm going to show you how to connect your IP camera that you've taken from the back of your NVR into your laptop. So you need to power the camera somehow and also connect it to your laptop. Many times we suggest people purchase a PoE injector, which is such, to connect a camera so you can access its web interface in case you need to modify its settings, because IP cameras let you go into their web interface and change your settings. The anatomy of a PoE injector is such. Here it says P plus D out. That means power and data out. That sends PoE, or power and data, to a device, such as my IP camera. And this is data only. So this portion, the P plus D out, would connect to my camera, and the data only would connect to my computer in this case, since I'm connecting it directly to my computer. Here, I've got a dongle connected to my Windows laptop. Because it doesn't have a built-in network port, I had to use a dongle to attach a network port. So I've got a network port here. I'm going to connect one cable, which in this case, the blue means data only, that I'm trying to illustrate here, and connect it to the data out into my PoE injector. And in this case, red for PoE coming from my camera connected to my injector. So now I've got power and data going to my camera, and this thing connected directly to my laptop using a different cable. And the PoE injector itself will light up and show you these lights. So if I get a good connection, I'll see both lights illuminate on the camera. So you know you have a good cable. If you just connect the PoE injector and you know what you want to know if it works, you'll have a green light as soon as you connect it to power using the AC outlet on the back. And then when you connect your camera, the amber light will pop up if it's actually getting data from the camera. Unfortunately, there's no LED to show you if it's communicating with your laptop or not. You can actually check from the laptop if you can see the camera or not, but my dongle happens to have a light on it, and it's showing me both green and amber lights, so I know that I'm getting a good connection. A lot of times people have bad cables, and when you don't see lights blinking on here on the network port on your computer and on the injector, that means you've got some bad cable somewhere, or you don't have your PoE injector plugged in. Now let me show you the pigtails on the back of an IP camera. All of our IP cameras come with a network port, that's for PoE, and a 12-volt DC jack to power in case you don't have a PoE injector. So let me segue into that. What I have shown you so far is how to connect a camera, just a hardwired part, an IP camera, using a PoE injector into your laptop. Let's say you don't have a PoE injector. What are you going to do? So for troubleshooting purposes, we always recommend either purchase a PoE injector, because it makes life a lot easier. You can have this inside and take the cable from the back of your NVR and plug it in here and be able to connect into your camera without having to redo cabling or dismount the camera. But if you don't have a PoE injector, you need a power supply like this. This is a 12-volt DC power supply, and it shows here that the current is 12 volts, and this solid line on the top and dotted on the bottom tells me that's DC power. Plus, it tells me what the polarity is. The positive inside the circle means it's center positive. So what that means is the DC jack, or the DC plug, the inside of it is positive and the outside is negative. So this is a center positive DC power supply that's 12 volts and 1 amps. You need to make sure you have a power supply such as this, or you've purchased one from us to ensure that you don't fry your camera. So now I've got my power supply, and what I would do is, to power the camera in this case, I would use the DC jack on the back of it, on the pigtail, and connect it to my power supply, and connect the power supply to the wall. That would power the camera. Now to do this, you have to have the camera indoors, really right next to your laptop. Now a Cat5 connector on the back of a PoE camera is meant to function for both data and power, or data only. In this case, I'm going to connect it directly into my laptop. Hear the click, and you've got a data connection. Now watch here, it's not lighting up. That's because I haven't powered my camera yet. Now what I'm going to do is connect my power supply into my surge suppressor and watch what happens. I'm going to let it boot up, and it should be able to sense the camera, and I now see green and amber lights. So now I've got a power connection to my camera, and now it's sending data back into the NIC port. It's going to power cycle, or the lights are going to keep cycling because it's not currently on the same network. I'm going to show you how to do that in the next video, how to proceed from here. Regardless of your powering, on the next portion of the same video, we'll show you how to connect into your camera from your computer, regardless of whether you're using a power supply to power and connect it to your computer or a PoE injector. Let's proceed to the next step. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to take an IP camera that you've connected directly into your laptop and how to access it. So the IP camera that we're going to show in here is going to be one taken from the back of an NVR. In the previous video, we showed you that our IP camera had an IP address of 10.1.1.65. Here we see it in our registration screen from our NVR showing that IP address before I disconnected it. So now that if you've taken a camera, you noted down your IP address and you know its IP address before you disconnected it, the camera is going to retain that IP address when you connect it to your laptop with a direct cable connection, as we showed you previously in this video how to properly connect the camera directly to your laptop. If you followed those instructions so far, the camera will still have this IP address. So now on our Windows laptop, the first thing we're going to do is make sure our network adapter is configured correctly. So you can go in and either you'll have a network icon or like this Wi-Fi icon, click on that and go to Network and Internet Settings. Go to Ethernet and then go to Change Adapter Options. Once you're here, you will see the different network adapters you have on your laptop. On my laptop, I have a Wi-Fi that's built in. I won't be using this because I have the camera hardwired into my network connection. Currently, my camera is not connected. Watch the screen as I connect my camera to there. You'll hear a click when you connect your camera to your network connection. Just like that. Ensuring that your network adapter has lights lighting up, you'll see something like this change from an X to saying unidentified network. Since the IP address on my camera is 10.1.1.65, I'm going to need to change the network address on my network port on my computer. To do that, right-click here on the network adapter that you have your camera connected to. It may say Ethernet 1 for yours if you're using a desktop or something else. Mine says Ethernet 2. So right-click and go to Properties, and then find where it says Internet Protocol version 4. Click on Properties. Change it from Obtain an IP address automatically to Use the following, and type in the following: 10.1.1.2. What I've done in this case is assign my network adapter or network port on my computer an IP address of 10.1.1.2 so it can talk to a 10.1.1.65. Network devices need to be on the same IP address scheme, meaning the first three numbers need to match for them to talk to each other. And then here, if you type in, just click here, it'll automatically populate 255.0.0.0. You can just leave it blank, it doesn't matter. Leave everything else blank, does not matter. Press OK and press close. Now, the next thing I want you to do is press on the Windows icon and type in CMD. Click on Command Prompt. Now there's something called a ping for you to see if your camera is visible to your computer. Type in PING space. Type in the IP address of your camera. If it's not ending in 65, maybe a different number, type that in. In my case, I'm going to type in 10.1.1.65 and hit Enter on your keyboard. It says reply from, and I'm getting a reply. What that means is that it's talking to my camera and I'm getting a data reply from the IP address of my camera. That's good. If your camera wasn't connected or you were using the wrong IP address, you would get it'll just say pinging, and it'll say reply from something, destination host unreachable, and then it'll time out. So this is what a good reply looks like, because it gives you a reply with a certain amount of bytes, and it tells you how long it took in milliseconds to get that reply. Once you have a successful reply coming from your camera, then you can actually pull it up in Internet Explorer. In Windows 10, go to Windows icon, type in
Internet, and it'll automatically populate Internet Explorer as the best match. Click on that. Load up Internet Explorer. Then type in, let it load up. If it asks you all this, just say use recommended security settings and OK. Now I want to connect to my camera, so I'm going to open up a new tab and type in the IP address 10.1.1.65 and hit enter. Watch it load up. You'll get a screen like this, and then you can log into the camera. Some cameras, they might ask you these questions. You want to just leave it alone. If you you can turn this off for most users and hit next if you get a screen like this. Uncheck auto updates, please. Do not use auto updates. Sometimes it causes unforeseen changes to firmware. Now, log into your camera. Admin is the default username for all of our cameras, unless you've changed it. The password is going to be, if it's an older camera prior to 2017, password should be admin. If it's later after that, please look at the camera box for the password, or it may just be 10I capital L TXYH. Let me write it down here. It would be 10I L TXYH. If that's not the password and you've changed it, you would need to look up what that password was. If it says, please click here to download and install plugin, click on there. It may ask for permissions. On the bottom it says, do you want to run this plugin? Hit yes, run. Don't save it. Run the plugin so you can see your camera. Allow permissions to run the plugin if you get a prompt asking you, do you want to run it or not? And then it'll install this plugin on your Windows computer. A plugin is needed for you to see the video coming through the web interface. Hit allow for all websites. If you get this yellow bar on the bottom, look for that. Hit allow for all websites. If you keep getting this message, just say don't show me, hit allow. Follow what I'm doing on here. Once the plugin is installed, it'll lock you out, or it'll log you out of your camera. Log back in using your username and password that you know. And once you're in, you'll see video from your camera. Here I've got video from my camera. And you can go into settings and change things that you like. In this case, I'm just going to go into here and change certain things like exposure. That's all. This is how you access a camera taken from the back of your NVR and connected directly to your laptop. It's very easy because you already know the IP address, and if you change the network adapter on your computer to connect to that IP address, be on the same IP address scheme, then you can connect to it directly without having to muck around with a config tool. So let me go back to the network adapter to show you how to get back to it and put the computer back the way it was. Once you've finished doing what you need to on your camera, this is how you would set your computer back. So click on either the network icon or the wireless network icon on the toolbar here. Go to Network and Internet Settings. Click on Ethernet. Change adapter options. And right-click Properties. Go under IP Protocol version 4. Click on Properties again. And change it to obtain an IP address automatically and obtain DNS server addresses automatically. Hit OK. Hit OK. And now your camera you won't be able to connect to it any longer, but your network port will be set back to the way it was. Disconnect your camera and go plug it back to your NVR. Thanks for watching.